But it is the brief of Christianity that faith comes first, and particularly in Protestantism, that faith alone saves, and then out of a life of faith, the Christian does good works. It's not that they're unimportant, and there's a great deal of advice about what the nature of these good works are and should be, but they spring out of gratitude to God for what He has done in Jesus Christ. They are acts of gratitude. And that's, I think, the relationship between faith and works in Christianity. I am very appreciative of this invitation tonight, because we didn't really have the opportunity to establish a basis for communication, except that I know Dr. Eisenman just a slight bit, and Dr. Siddiqui, he and I are close friends, but as far as establishing with you the basis of our communication, we didn't have that opportunity. We've often done lectures to establish that basis. But even so, I'm really amazed and grateful at how well we've gotten along so far. It's pretty good. I can recall many instances where Muslims have talked to me about Jesus, and they talk to me about Jesus the way Christians talk to me about Jesus. There's a tremendous reverence and warmth and regard in their voices, and as if they sound as if they're Christians. After this is amazing. But it is, as Dr. Siddiqui explained, the great, not regard, but reverence for the person of Jesus as a prophet of God. And I think what Dr. Eisenman is explaining, that he's coming at it from the point of view of historical criticism, as it's called. I think that it must also be said that theology is an academic discipline, and I was attempting to offer theological insights from inside the life of the church. See, theology comes out of the life of the church, and I think that the Jewish theology comes out of the life of the synagogue, and Islamic theology comes out of the life of the Ummah. It's from within that these academic disciplines, sometimes called theology, and I think it's kalam, is it not, in Islam? So we have this, we deal with our reflection on the life of the community and what it holds dear and what it holds precious. So I want to make that clarification, because the theological task is very great, and we cannot ignore it, because these communities live among each other. Thank God there are no more ghettos in the United States anyway. And Muslims and Jews and Christians live together. They don't live all on one street or one neighborhood. And that's the way it ought to be. In fact, on the street where we lived in Anaheim Hills before we moved to Brentwood, one end of the street, it was a retired general from the Iranian army. He didn't discuss that too much, but that's what he had done in the previous existence. And our next door neighbors immediate to us were Jewish. And so it goes. And I think that the rediscovery for tonight, certainly, of the significance of Jesus, which cannot be gainsaid for the human race, because so many people have to conjure with him, including Judaism. I think that there is a history which I want to speak about. The church, certainly until modern times, has not engaged in anti-Semitism. What it engaged in was anti-Judaism. Anti-Semitism is a terrible recasting of the tensions between Judaism and Christianity, largely based on a false anthropology. the anti-Semitism, and that's the allegation that the Jewish people killed Jesus, and they did not. And to assume that all of Judaism was involved in his death at the time he was killed, or that all Jews forever are involved in his killing, is a lie of the most demonic sort. It's not true. The Vatican Council, Vatican II, and the World Council of Churches both disavowed that line of thought. And it's time that we moved on from such things. We have to acknowledge it's been a factor in the tragic history, but it must be laid to rest. And I think I'll mention what occurred when El Bialy and I were working together down in San Diego State. And I say it with all respect. It was a while ago, almost 20 years ago, and our Dr. El Bialy, before Dr. Siddiqui came here to us, was our Muslim colleague, and Rabbi Leo Abrami was our Jewish colleague.